everybody. It's 1:30 in New York and 7:30 in Italy, and it's Wine Wednesday. Thank you for joining us on virtual day trip to wine country. I'm Sam Kimball from New York Wine Events, and today we are in Italy, where wine is produced in every region of the country. It is home to some of the oldest wine producing regions in the world. And a fun, fast fact, Italy is also the world's largest producer of wine with an area of over 1.7 million acres under vineyard cultivation. In 2018, a couple of years ago, the latest stats, Italy accounted for 19% of all global wine production, ahead of France and ahead of Spain, which were number 2 and 3. And Italian wine is exported all over the world and popular, very popular in Italy itself, where Italians consume an average of 42 liters of wine per capita annually. And they're the 5th largest per capita consumer of wine in the world. In Italy, today we are going to Tuscany, and we're excited about that. Tuscany is, wait for it, famous for wine. Located in the central part of Italy along the Tyrrhenian coast, Tuscany is home to some of the world's most notable grapes for wine and notable grape growing regions. Chianti, Brunello di Montalcino, Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, and also a lot of very famous grapes that we know of those of us who consume wine in the US, the Sangiovese grape, the Vernaccia grape, and also the white wine that's made from Vernaccia di San Gimignano. I'm going to show you guys a photo of and a map on screen of where we're going specifically. So in my background here, you see at the top a map of Italy, and you see in the middle a map of Tuscany, which is represented in the top map in the black area, and in the bottom you see where the Lilliano estate is, and Lilliano, Tenuta di Lilliano is where we're going today, the winery, which is an absolutely beautiful part of the world. And Tuscany is also known for dessert wine, Vino Santo, made from a variety of the region's grapes. And there are 2 primary classifications in Tuscany for the types of wine and the qualities of wine. And this is something that for us Americans, as we learn about global wines, it's important to know. There are 41 classifications of DOC wine and only 11 classifications of DOCG wines. And those DOC and DOCG wines are the guaranteed highest quality wines. So when you're in a wine store or when you're ordering wine at a restaurant, if you see the letters DOC or DOCG, that's a really good thing, especially if you see DOCG, that's the really good stuff. So today we're headed to an historic Tuscan winery, Tenuta di Lilliano. I'm going to show you guys an aerial photo. This is a photo behind me of the winery, but I also would love to show you an aerial shot. It's a beautiful physical plant, many buildings. You'll learn more about that shortly. Lilliano is in a very small town called Castellina and Chianti. And Castellina is really just, it's pretty much an intersection. There's not even a real town. It's not really a town. It's only 1,000 acres big. It's more of a medieval borgo, which means fortress in Italian. They used to have a little bar in the town. It's just a few houses, really. It's just a congregation of a few houses. And this is the cool part. The Lilliano winery has been in this location, in this tiny enclave of Castellina in Chianti, since the 1400s. So as far as we know, the winery building and some of the things you see in my background here have been around for 600 to 700 years. During World War II, the winery and the main building and villa was occupied by the German soldiers who had invaded Italy. And it was only at the end of World War II when the Americans and the Allies liberated Italy and Tuscany. They actually ended up bombing the winery buildings and property to liberate it. And we're going to learn more about that. Our guest has a very cool story all about what happened at the end of the war and what happened to the winery. So Lilliano's calling card is that they have the perfect terroir, or territory and area and soil and land and climate for growing grapes for wine. It's unique, specifically the soil in particular. It allows for the grapes to ripen later, which makes for longer lasting wines that age well. The grapes are juicier. They have better sweetness, more sugar, natural sugar in the grapes, which greatly enhance the flavor. So the land and the climate is perfect, and that's the secret of the amazing wines that come from Lilliano. I want to show you guys a little bit more about how you can find out, if you're curious, on the web about Tenuta di Lilliano. I'm going to put in my background the URL for the winery, which you can see here, and also notably where you can get the wines in the US. And in the US, you can get them at the Heights Chateau wine shop in Brooklyn. And there are a number of special discounts just for us at New York Wine Events. You can see them on my screen here. We will share these with you guys later in the broadcast as well. And we'll also send them out in an email. But there's some nice discounts, and these are really great wines. And they're very, very fairly priced for the high quality. So welcome everybody. It's great that you guys are joining us in the middle of a Wine Wednesday afternoon. Please feel free to ask any and all questions as we go along. We have a fascinating guest with us today, and it's not every day that we have somebody as knowledgeable and with the kind of history that our guest has. And so you can put your questions in the chat or the Q&A module in Zoom. Hit the chat if you would right now, and just tell us where you're logging in from. We love to see where everybody's located at. So just tell us your location in the US or wherever you are. And I want to say it's my great pleasure for the second time in the last year, welcome Alessandro Raspuli, a member of the founding family of the Lilliano Winery. Welcome, Alessandro. It is so great to have you back on our broadcast today.
Thank you, Sam. It's great to be back on the broadcast. Thanks for everyone for following, and I'm very happy to be on the second time over here. And I hope it won't be the last one, and I'll be coming back like in the next future.
I don't think so. You know, for everybody watching, I've been threatening to visit Alessandro at the winery as soon as everything opens up. And so I'm sure we'll have, in the future, we'll have a very fun opportunity to do a broadcast, maybe even from the winery.
Hopefully very soon.
Hopefully very soon. So I don't want to put you on the spot, Alessandro, but I've kind of shared with our viewers and our audience at New York Wine Events that, you know, your family has a really interesting and long history with the winery and in Italy. And in fact, the Ruspoli family are actually nobles. You are nobility in Italy, in the Italian society. So tell us a little bit more about that. I mean, I know that after World War II, all the titles were abolished, but there were still 14 families in Rome and around Italy that were considered nobility. And so tell us about the Ruspolis. And,
yes, basically, the Ruspoli family goes back to the Middle Ages. We trace back like to Mario Scotto, and we are directly linked to Carlo Magno, so Carlo the Great, and basically the Ruspoli family, it's a noble family, aristocratic family, originally from Florence actually, and then in the 1700s a branch of the family moved to Rome, where we bought Palazzo Ruspoli, where we still live there, from the
in Rome, Palazzo Ruspoli.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and we bought the palazzo from the Caetani family, which was another big aristocratic family, and so like one branch of the family moved in Rome in the 1700s, and we stayed there ever since. The Ruspoli family, so like going back like to the nobility, basically we were one of those original Roman aristocratic families. So we were like we call it like black aristocracy, and so it differs like in white and black. The black aristocrats from Rome were the original families, and basically after like Italy got reunited in 1870 and the Savoia became the king of Italy, we were basically like the black part of the aristocracy were on the Pope side, and the white were on the king side. This is because we always, we and the other families of the black aristocracy, we're always linked to the Pope, and we're always devoted to the Pope. In fact, like the Ruspoli family were counts before the 17th century, and then after we defended the Pope in a battle in Ferrara in 1708, the Pope, to say thanks, to say thanks to the Ruspoli family, he bestowed Cervetri, which was our stronghold, from county to principality, and he gave us the title of prince. So like the Ruspoli family is the prince family from Rome.
So Alessandro, you're a prince, is that correct? Technically?
Well, my family is actually like it should be like the firstborn primogenito is actually the prince. So my cousin is actually still a prince, even if there's no more monarchy in Italy. So it's more like a historic meaning to us.
So you don't have paparazzi chasing you around?
No, thanks God, I don't. I'm
Okay.
pretty happy about it, actually.
So now, one of the things that I learned in talking to you recently about the winery was about World War II.
Yes.
When the Germans basically took over the buildings and the villa and like what you see behind me.
Absolutely.
The German soldiers, and they tore the place up. I mean, they made a mess. And you showed me a picture of painting, and for those of you watching, inside the villa, I've seen pictures. It's beautiful. I mean, it's a gorgeous facility and building, and the decoration is amazing. And there's all these wonderful paintings, and you showed me paintings that had bullet holes in them.
Absolutely. So basically, during Second World War, Lilliano is being occupied from the German soldiers, and actually, like my grandmother had to leave the villa, and she took with herself my uncle and my father, which were very small, and they ran away and they went, I think, to Rome, which was at the time probably was a little safer than the battlefield in Lilliano. And yes, it's true what we say. I showed you the pictures, and unfortunately, I couldn't upload the pictures on my background, but I had, and I sent you like a picture of the painting. And basically, yes, like we had for like almost a year the Germans inside Lilliano, because it was a very tactical place. Lilliano, even like during like the sieges of Florence and Siena, it was close to Castellina, which I have to say, when you introduced Castellina, it's not a small town. Actually, it's pretty big. It's Lilliano, which is the borough which has only a few houses. Just to correct the presentation. And basically, like, yes, it was close to Castellina, it was close to Monteriggioni, to Staggia. So like for several years, and for many years actually, Liliano changed shape and had many battles. And with World War II, as you mentioned before, Liliano was freed from the Americans and the French and the Allies, and it was actually bombed. I remember, like, my uncle still says, you know, like the French bombed even the church to free Liliano, and we have pictures of the church which is all collapsed. And as I mentioned you, like when we talked the other time, you could see from the cellar, which is beneath the villa, which is on the grounds of the cellar, you could see like through like 3 stories. Actually, at the time it was like 2-story building, the villa. Then after World War, it became like on a 3-story, so it became a bigger, more like 19th century kind of shape building. It was different. It became like bigger with the time.
Super interesting. I mean, so much history. So what I'd like to do is show people a little bit of around the wine.
Something I didn't mention you, like just in front of the villa, we have our orto, where like we have like farmers who like have vegetables and everything. And just like a year ago, so after many years which we had like the orto, we found like something solid in the ground. And so we said like, oh, what is it? And actually in the previous year we could find like bullets of machine guns and everything, and they found like a mine, like a bomb.
Really? And was it still active?
Well, we didn't know, so we said like, stop, like doing any works, like you know, it's we had the risk like to explode. And so like we called like I call them like the land miners, and they took this bomb and took it to the lake, which is not far away. It's just like half a mile away from the villa, and they actually like they exploded it, and you can see
Wow,
like all
that's
the water.
amazing. That's amazing. What a
uh,
story. So hey,
yeah.
let's give everybody a quick tour, and I'm going to show some photos now. I'm going to share my screen. But if you don't mind, let's show people around the winery. I'd love for you to talk briefly about the hospitality
Absolutely.
offerings that you guys have, which is really cool. But why don't I share my screen, and let's take a look at some of the amazing parts of the property. So this is the aerial picture here of the Tenuta di Lilliano, yeah?
Yeah, so basically you can see like this is like the main part of Liliano. It's the biggest part, because then like after this, like we have only some farmhouses spread out, which you can see like some above and some are like
Yep.
actually they are
Yep.
further distant. But over here you can see like the main villa.
Yep.
You can see the Chiesa of Santa Cristina, so the Church of Santa Cristina on the left of the villa. And then like one of the
And is the church part of Liliano property, or is it
yes,
part of the town?
it's always been part of the property. Then
Wow.
like in the years, obviously it's been like of the church itself, but like we acquired it back, so it's part of the property.
Wow. So
And then,
this is the main area, right?
this is the main area. The one on the bottom left is actually like what we call like it's the new, it's our newer cellar.
Yeah.
It's our well, it's where we do the wine. It's our fermenting cellar.
It's your production facility. Now, the Ruspoli family, your parents still, many generations later, they still live here. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Basically, like the villa, it's not small. It's a couple of thousand square meters.
And this is from behind, yeah.
No, this is actually it's a view from the villa on towards the vineyards and towards two of the casali of the 12 casali
Got it.
farmhouses which we restored and we actually now rent with 8 pools. So
Yeah, we're gonna show that in a minute. I want people to see it. So and then this is obviously the grapes. When I talked about the long ripening and the sweetening of the grapes, this is a great picture here that gives that, you know, in these warm climates like Italy, the grapes really plump up and they you know they gather lots of water and they sweeten much more so than a colder climate grape like you would find in Germany or France or Austria. Even New York State
or,
is a
or even if you go like further north, like even if you go like in Piedmont with like the Barolo with
Piemonte. Yep,
the
yep.
Nebbiolo, it's a different terroir, different grape.
And
And
what do we have here, Alessandro?
so this is it's beneath the villa, and this is our aging cellar. It's part of the our aging cellar, which has well, it has like 4 different alleys. This is the one where we have like the large cask, which are
Yep,
28 and 34 hectoliters, where we mainly age the Gran Selezione,
yep.
which is our more traditional style of Chianti Classico.
And is that a DOC or is that a DOCG?
We have only these DOCG wines actually.
All of your wines at Lilliano are DOCG.
Exactly, because
So that
Chianti
is the
Classico
highest, that's the highest guaranteed quality by like the
it's
Italian Wine Commission.
Chianti Classico. It's entirely in DOCG, so it's
Yep.
actually is one of the first DOCG in Italy.
So when we're at a restaurant or when we're in a store and we see Chianti, and then we see another bottle or selection that's Chianti Classico, only that Chianti Classico is of that higher quality.
Well,
Correct?
the best way to, I don't know if you can see me, but like the best way to understand like a Chianti Classico, it's with the Black Rooster
The
over here.
Black Rooster. Okay.
The Black Rooster can be on top of the on the neck of the bottle, or it can be on the back label.
And every time you see the Black Rooster, it's DOCG.
It's DOCG, and it's one of the first DOCG. It's from 1716. It's
Yep.
from the Barone Ricasoli. Actually, delimited the at the time it was Chianti, but then like after that we to better understand that we became like Chianti Classico. So we're like the original Chianti designated from the Barone Ricasoli, and so like basically it's like 9. Well, it was 9, but like now Barberino and Tavernelle, the communes of Barberino and Tavernelle merged together, and so it's 8 communes, which are the best part of which are
Yep.
the part of Chianti Classico.
So let's talk. We're gonna start tasting wines momentarily. Let's talk about hospitality, because your winery has an incredible hospitality offering. You've got a series of villas in the beautiful Tuscany countryside that people can rent for a week or 2 weeks or what have you. And I want to show people what that looks like, because it's incredible what you guys do. So tell us about how many villas are there?
So basically, like we call them casali, so more like farmhouses, which a few are actually like we can compare them like to real and proper villas, and others are a little smaller, so are more like farmhouses, which we restored in a very authentic and unique way, like say which really makes you feel in the Chianti Classico and in Tuscany.
Do people rent them out for a week or a month or a weekend or what?
We rent them out on a weekly basis.
Yep. And how many do you have?
They're actually 12.
12. And how many of the 12 has its own swimming pool?
So basically, we have 8 swimming pools.
Wow.
And what is it like? Five have private pool,
Yeah.
and the others like share the one in common. So and we just like built a new pool this year with the lockdown,
Yeah.
and so like we have like a further um, unique private pool for a casale.
And do you allow Americans to book the villas?
Absolutely, we allow everyone. Like we are happy to have Americans, but we have
Excellent.
even like as I told you, we have like a lot of French who come, and
Yeah.
Germans have been always like the biggest clients. German, Swiss,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Austrians. But like yeah, it's you know it's beautiful weather. It's great to come over.
Well, should we start tasting some wine?
Why not?
Which wine are we going to start with? The Chianti Classico?
I was getting thirsty.
All right, good. So let's start with the Chianti Classico.
I would start with the Chianti Classico, which
Yep.
is our benchmark wine. It's the one
Okay.
we produce the most, and I think it gives the perfect idea of how we make wines in Liliano. The Chianti
Okay. This is
Classico,
the one, right?
exactly, yes.
All right.
So
So I'm learning, but I already see the DOCG at the top there.
the
So
OCG, and that's actually like we used an old photo, and you can see like the black rooster. Actually, now it's a little changed. This was an old black rooster, which was red and yellow. Now it became like this one I have over here. I don't know if you can see it properly, but it's white and red. But
okay. Oh, I see. Yeah.
no
Oh, I
big
see the difference.
difference. It's just like
Yep.
they wanted to renew the logo, and you've seen on the bottle on our Chianti Classico, you can see it even better than the others. But here is the coat of arms of the two families, of the Ruspoli family and the Berlingieri family, because Liliano does date back to the Middle Ages, and you have like a map which you can see the villa in the 1400s. But like our family on my grandmother's side, so the Berlingieri family, which were like landowners from the south of Italy, from Calabria, they bought the estate in the early beginning of the 1900s. So in 1920, Arturo Berlingieri bought the property, and then it was actually my grandmother who decided to start bottling quality wine. So like because at the time like uh, Chianti and Chianti Classico wasn't like a top quality wine. They used these fiasco bottles, and my grandmother was one of the first when she called to herself Giulio Gambelli, which you might not know, but like Giulio Gambelli in Tuscany in Chianti Classico and Montalcino was a wine guru, a master palate, an incredible person. I have like fond memories of me with Giulio Gambelli. I have a book of him, like we just wrote, but I don't know where it is, so I can't show it. But like he was an incredible guy, and he didn't drink.
So he was a wine merchant, but he did not consume wine.
No, he wasn't a wine merchant. He was like he was a winemaker. So
He was the
for me,
maker. He was the farmer for the vineyards. Yep.
so
Interesting.
to me it was astonishing. But like I never seen such a guy like with such knowledge of Sangiovese, Colorino, Canaiolo, all the native varietals,
Yep.
even the Montepulciano. It was incredible. And even like he worked with us as a friend of my grandmother because they used to go hunting together for 50 years. And even when he was more than 80 years old and he wasn't, let's say, helping us to do the wine anymore, he still used to come at the winery and he tried the wines from the barrels and he was saying, here, you added too much sulfites. Here you blended it with like whatever grape it was. Like he knew everything.
So he was.
It was his creature. We owe him a lot.
That's
Uh,
interesting. So now tell us about this wine. We're
this
tasting.
particular
We're
this
tasting.
particular wine
we're tasting three Chiantis today. So what's different about this one from the other ones?
So we are tasting the free Chianti Classico, so the free DOCG, which we were telling before. The Chianti Classico, we call it Annata, so it's the one which it's produced and sold the year after, like a year later. Instead, like the Chianti Classico Riserva has to age for at least 2 years. And the Gran Selezione, it's the top of the tier, and it has to age for like 2.5 years, so 30 months. This is the aging part. Then like the Gran Selezione and the Riserva are better selection of the vineyards and of the grapes.
Right.
What we're gonna do with especially the Gran Selezione, it's going to become our cru. So it's going to be a single vineyard, the best quality. But even the Riserva, it comes from like two different plots at the moment.
So now, let's talk about the Chianti Classico first. Is this a bit lighter? Is it lighter in body?
Yeah. So like basically the Chianti Classico, it's produced to be drunk more immediately than the Riserva and the Gran Selezione. So it is a medium body, because our wines, being like in Castellina, Castellina can go up to 560 meters above the sea level. We are on a mid, we are close to like 300 square meters above the sea level.
Right.
And our Chianti Classico, it's a warm Chianti Classico, so it's a medium-bodied wine.
So what's the perfect occasion to drink this wine?
Well, this is every day, I say, so it's always a good occasion. But like I have to say, our Chianti Classico, it's great with. It can go with a pizza very well, I think, and it can go even with like a nice plate of pasta with some tomato sauce, or like some tomato sauce ragu, some light ragu, maybe not from wild boars, but like maybe from lepre. Lepre is actually, how you say it, hare, so it's a lighter taste. I think these are perfect matches for our Chianti Classico.
And this is a very affordable wine. This wine retails in the $20 range in the US, so it's very accessible.
Even something less than $20. I think it's
like $17 or $18. So it is definitely an everyday wine. Let's take a look at the next one.
It's a very good everyday wine, but like it's very traditional.
Yeah,
it has a beautiful color, like a purpley color, and it really represents what a Chianti Classico should be. So it has this violet notes, this sweet cherry notes.
Yeah.
It's very, very traditional, but very, very drinkable compared to the other two.
Yeah, no, this looks like a great everyday wine. $17.99 at Heights Chateau. So now let's move on to the Riserva. And what would you say is the typical occasion for somebody to have the Riserva? What's the right kind of occasion, and what's the sort of right food?
Well, with all Italian wines, and Chianti Classico in particular, and especially like the Riserva and the Gran Selezione, it's always while like the Chianti Classico, you can drink it even on its own. The Riserva and the Gran Selezione are to absolutely to match with some food.
Yeah.
And for the Riserva and the Gran Selezione, probably the best dishes are for sure some meat dishes, and some game, especially because all the wines in Italy respect what the region has to offer as a food dish.
Yeah.
So both the Riserva and the Gran Selezione go very well with like the wild boar, which can we have like a family recipe. Well, it's not a family recipe, but we cook it. It's called in dolce forte because it's a little bit sour and sweet and sour. Sorry.
Yeah.
And it's cooked with chocolate and pinoli, and it's a terrific dish
Wow,
because
that sounds great. My God. So now this is so great with the wild boar with venison. Can it is it got enough structure to hold up to like a steak or a beef dish?
I think it does. I think it does. Probably like with a steak, the Gran Selezione can be even better.
Yeah.
But like very close, so you could both
So
have.
this one is a step up in structure and body and tannins.
Yes, absolutely.
It's an increased amount of that from the first one.
And what characterizes all wines from Lilliano, I think it's the balance.
Yeah.
Lilliano wines and Castellina wines in general, compared to maybe the Radda, the Gaiole, which some might be like fresher with some more acidity. Some might have more nose, more perfumes. The wines from Castellina and Chianti, and especially the wines from Lilliano, they have a great balance, which I think it's one of the best compliments you can give to a wine, because the complexity of a wine is when it's all like on the right spot. So you have a good acidity, a good body, some nice perfumes of violets, of cardamomo,
Mhm.
and when it's all well integrated, then you have the perfect wine.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. The balance, especially with acidity balancing out the other characteristics, is very, very important. Um, and all right, so should we show everybody the Gran Celestione, which is
Absolutely.
the grandfather here. So this one, by the way, for people watching, the one that we were just looking at, which is the Riserva, this is, I believe, Alessandro, this one is $29.99 at Heights Chateau. So
I think
still,
the Reserva is 29.99, and I think the Gran Selezione is 34.99 or around
I
$35.
think it's a little more. I think it's $37.99.
Oh, a little more.
The Gran Celestione. But let's show everybody. This is the Riserva, and then our final wine is the Gran Selezione. And this is more of a special occasion wine. Notably, too, this one is 100% Sangiovese grapes.
So yes, basically, I haven't mentioned the Chianti Classico is a 90% Sangiovese, a 5% Colorino, which is a native varietal, which adds some color to the Sangiovese, which originally it was a kind of pale wine, but like with the study of different clones, actually even Sangiovese got a little darker. It can't go like dark as a Cabernet or a Merlot. It's still like on a lighter side, like as a Pinot Noir, but like but it became a little darker. And then obviously when you add like Colorino, Canaiolo, Malvasia, and other native varietals, or in this case with the Classico, we add a 5% Colorino and a 5% Merlot to it.
Yeah.
And it's aged predominantly in cement. This because the cement doesn't.
Really?
Yes, because it was originally made in this way, and nowadays it's coming back. And we never left the cement. Actually, we restored it, and now it's thermoregulated. We have 24 cement tanks. Some are huge, 195 hectoliters. Others a little less big, but like still like very, very big, 145 hectoliters. And they were like built together well, what we call the newer cellar in 1976.
Yep.
Instead, the Riserva and the Gran Selezione, they are fermented like part in the cement tanks, but part of them in the stainless steel. And they age for like 2 years or 2 years and a half in part well, the Gran Selezione involves large glass, which you've seen before on the picture, and the Riserva same, but like with the addition of tonneau, so double barrels.
Got it. So what is, I mean, your family has been making this wine for a long time. In this case of the Gran Celestione, what's the perfect occasion and sort of the perfect meal that you see being the most appropriate for this one?
But aside from like some nice cheeses, which all the wines goes with cheese. But I think like always like game. The Gran Selezione is 100% Sangiovese, so it's a medium full body, very elegant, which ages for a very long time. Lilliano wines, due to its terroir, which is mainly Alberese, but not only, because it has Alberese. It's typical in part of Castellina and the Chianti Classico, but it's even like the Macigno and the blue clay. Alberese, it's a rock. It's a calcareous limestone, and this gives like a nice acidity to the wine. On the other part, we have a lot of clay as well, and the clay as well gives like some acidity, but even like the structure. It's a connubio of the two things. It's a very particular terroir, and compared to other zones, we have less rainfall and a slightly warmer year, so temperatures, and it makes like a very well balanced wine.
Yeah, this one looks like a fabulous wine for a great meal with roasted meats or stewed meats.
I think like this goes very, as you said, it goes very well with stew, and it could go very well with like a steak with fries. I think it's terrific.
That is awesome. Now, I want to invite anybody who has questions. If you have questions about the wines, or if you have questions about Lilliano or the villas, and if you're interested in coming to Tuscany and taking a villa for a week, this is a good time to ask any of those questions, especially questions about when. I think you guys were open partially this year.
Yes. We had more internal tourists,
Italian guests,
a lot of Italians, which we had in the last years, but not as many. But like because mainly we were working like with we had like clients from Germany, from Austria, from France, from Holland, Belgium, but like Americans as well, Brits. But this year, we had to cancel and renew several times, and so like a lot of Italians actually started traveling within the same region, because sometimes like they closed even the region, so like we had to have like internal from the region. So it was very challenging. We took like a hit of like a 50% less than last year.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But like seeing how the year started, like with the first lockdown, we were thinking to have even less people actually coming by instead.
I would encourage our audience today and in general, if you like Italian wine and Chianti, pick up a couple bottles of Lilliano, support this wonderful winery, because obviously, yeah, this has been a challenging time.
Yeah, thank you,
So
Sam.
we have a couple of questions, Alessandro,
Yes.
from Jennifer. In the first two wines, the Chianti Classico and the Riserva. Tell us what the grapes are again in the.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes,
what are
because
the grapes in the Chianti Classico.
I didn't mention. Basically, like the Chianti Classico, as I mentioned before, it's 90% Sangiovese, 5% Colorino, and 5% Canaiolo. With the Riserva, it was up to a few years ago, it was the same blend, but it was aged differently. So 90% Sangiovese, 5% Colorino, and it used to be 5% Canaiolo, which we are regrafting this year, and we are probably going to reintroduce because we like, well, we are very traditionalist, and having Merlot in the blend doesn't seem too traditional, and it goes against a little bit our beliefs. Even if like Merlot, just like 5%, you don't have to go further than 10%, because then you can really feel the Merlot in the Sangiovese. But if you limit it to like a 5%, I think it's very different to feel it. Or if you feel it, it's you have a very knowledgeable palate. And so like with these new vintages, it's a 95% Sangiovese and 5% Colorino.
Yeah.
The third wine, as we said, it's 100% Sangiovese. So I think our aim is to go like with higher percentages of Sangiovese, and maybe reintroduce with the Colorino the Canaiolo.
Now, one question I have, because this is something that people don't always realize, like with a smaller winery like this, there is not unlimited quantities of the wines. So how many cases, for example, of the Gran Celestione do you make a year?
I'm sorry, I always think about in Italy, we don't think about it in cases. So I never do my maths, but like basically we roughly do around 100 or 120, 130,000, depending on the vintages, which can be very different in Castellina, because a year it rains a lot, and a year like we had some years which it never rained.
Well, then it cuts, when it rains, it cuts down on your production.
Yeah, but even like when it's too warm and it doesn't rain, then like it cuts in production, because you have less diseases.
You don't irrigate their vineyards. It's natural dry vineyards with just the water from nature. Yep.
But I think like we weren't allowed irrigating the vineyards in the Chianti Classico, but I think it's changing, or now it's possible to irrigate with the drops now. But like something is going to change, because global warming is changing everything. So
changing the wine industry.
Exactly.
Ron has a question. How close are you to Tenuta di Arseno?
Tenuta di Arseno, we are not too far away. It's the Chianti Classico. It's
Ron wants to come. He wants to go back to Italy, visit Tenuta di Arseno, and come to Lilliano also. Is it 20 miles away? Is it 100 miles away?
I think it should be like a 30-40 minutes drive.
30 or 40 minutes. That's pretty close.
It's not far away. You can do it. I would be happy to have you.
Very interesting question from Sivaporn. I wonder, does this wine ever, is it ever made in a traditional Chianti bottle with the straw basket?
Well, it was made like that before the 1950s, but then like because we pointed on quality, and we tried to get rid of that image of the Chianti with the straw bottle, we don't do it anymore. Which I know it's a romantic idea, but like we try to really point on quality and do it with like.
Yeah, that's old school. It's a great question, because a lot of Americans associate the Chianti, but that's more of the old school.
No, it's a very reasonable question, and you still can find someone who still does it, but like it's always less and less, I have to say.
And when you come visit, when I come visit, where am I going to? Am I flying to Rome? Am I flying to Florence? How am I getting there?
Well, probably from the US, it's easier to fly to Rome.
You're about an hour and a half from Rome.
And it's a little bit more. It's a 2 hour it's a 2 hour 2 hours and a half drive from Rome.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful drive. I do it like twice a week. So
Wow.
yeah, no, because I live like between Rome and the estate. So on a Monday to a Wednesday, I'm at the estate, and then I drive back on a Wednesday night. So I just got back before the webinar in Rome to my family.
That's great. Now,
No,
I want to ask everybody if you've got any more questions. Let's get to them now, and then I want to show everybody where they can go if they're interested in these wines in the U.S. But let us know if you have any further questions. And in the meantime, I will put back up. So the top URL is the URL for the winery and the villas and the hospitality in Italy. And the second URL, heightschateau.com, is the store here in the New York area where you can get these wines. And make a note of the discounts because there's case discounts, there's a 6-bottle discount. If you happen to be, we have lots of people from around the country, Alessandro, but those people who are here in the New York area, from Manhattan and Queens, it's free delivery. So that's how you can get these wines. Ron has a question also very interesting. What is the current law with regard to the percentage of Sangiovese grapes that must be present in Classico and Riserva?
So yes, basically like the percentage has to be like at least 80% in the Riserva, in the Classico, and the Gran Selezione. And the remaining 20%, it can be like any native varietals, but even international. So like it can be Cabernet, Sauvignon, Franc, it can be Merlot. But I think, well, we always been like a traditionalist, and we always had like Colorino and Canaiolo. Then like in the late 90s, we planted some Merlot. We did an EGT, actually 2 EGT, the Super Tuscans. One was like 100% Merlot, and one was like it was a blend which changed the blend in the years. But like yes, it's 80%, which is different from Chianti, which I believe it's a little less. It has to be at least 75%.
75% for just a normal everyday Chianti. Yep. Well, I want to give a shout out. We have a great group today from everywhere from Manhattan to Long Island, New Jersey, Florida. Hello and welcome Dimitra, who logged in from Greece. And we have Edmonton, Alberta in Canada, Santa Clarita, California, a great group, Sonoma, California, Los Angeles. So it's wonderful to see everybody and to be able to share the Tenuta di Lilliano winery. Alessandro, it's such a pleasure.
Sam, thank you very much, and thanks for everyone for following. It's it's not the same not seeing you. That's what I love the most of this. Like it was like to
well, tell us, keep us apprised of when you're coming, when things calm down and the opening has really happened. Because for those watching, Alessandro comes to the U.S. Relatively frequently in normal times, and does wine dinners here in New York. And so I know you do those with Tony DiDio, who's a great champion of the winery and is a representative here in New York. So keep us apprised of that, and we will share that with this group. So anybody in the New York area, or if you happen to be passing through when Alessandro does a dinner, you are in for a special treat because there's some great wine, great conversation, no bullet holes in the paintings. And but it was great to see everybody, and thank you for tuning in. Join us next week, everyone. We have an amazing tasting next Wednesday night, 7 p.m. We're doing a tasting of some artisanal jams made in Brooklyn, combined with the #1 sparkling wine producer in New York State, which is on the North Fork of Long Island. Sparkling Point wines and artisanal jams from the jam stand. Come check it out. We're going to pair cheese and jam and sparkling wine. Alessandro, grazie mille.
You made me hungry.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. Stay safe, and we will see you soon.
Sam, thank you so much. It was great as usual.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. Buonasera.
Grazie. Have a good
Okay.
day.
See you later.